Keep your beard out of the river, grandfather dwarf man. It's the gritty reboot we've all been dying to get. Way before the Council of Elrond. Way before there even were hobbits in the valley, you know? What were they doing then? All those sexy elves. Who was fucking who? Elf-wise. We're gonna find out in Riverdale.
I think you mean Riverdale, the sexiest, most mysterious version of Archie you ever did see. Hi, I am Jim Scampoli.
I'm Jacob Burrows, and I'm pretty sure you mean Rivendell, the elf valley from Bilbo, from The Hobbit, and all of that. Isn't it that?
Maybe I wish that's what this was, but no, unfortunately, it is the gritty version of Archie. New on the CW.
Oh, I must be thinking of CW 2018. I keep mixing those up. Yes, we're here to talk about the Archie gritty reboot this time. Fucking always mix those up. Now, we're talking about the first episode only, so don't worry about spoilers, I guess.
You mean we're not going to do a further discussion on future episodes?
I'm not ruling that out. Jim,
all right.
You sound like you hate this show. Do you hate this show? I don't mean to cut right to the chase, but
I hate this show. I hate this show.
I don't even hate this show. I don't even hate it.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. I hate it. I mean, we're gonna get into it. I feel bad because this is like the second time in a row, and we could be hitting a trifecta with our next show that we're discussing, but let's not get there yet.
Oh.
But yes, I feel bad. I mean, the only thing I guess I could say is this show, I guess it's not for me, so maybe it doesn't matter that I don't like it. I mean, it's a show on the CW, given I watch Supernatural. But I fucking hate this show.
Did you watch Gossip Girl? Because this is basically Gossip Girl.
I did not watch Gossip Girl.
You wouldn't like it.
I watched Veronica Mars.
You did. It's not quite it. Well,
I watched Gilmore Girls. Is it like that?
It's not. It's not
All
like
right.
that at all. Did you read Archie? Is that why you hate it?
As a lad, I think I delved into some Archie here and there. And I meant to go and read some of the new ones because I couldn't tell. Oh, maybe I'm just out of touch, and this is how Archie is now. But I didn't read them. I didn't do that.
Right.
But from what I did read on Wikipedia, this is not what Archie is. Like I know the current modern Archie is a little bit more edgy and updated, but it's not this show, from my understanding.
Sure. I mean, I maybe this. I'm almost completely sure this helps me a lot, but I don't read. I never read this comic, so I don't know, and that's why to me this is just a show, and I don't hate it for ruining anything for me. I'm just like, yeah, of course.
No, well, it's weird you say that because I think one of my notes is that even if this wasn't an Archie show, I would hate this show.
Sure. That's fair.
So I mean, it's not like I have baggage. I'm not that concerned. I'm not. I wasn't like a fanboy or anything. I was vaguely familiar, just as a pop culture thing of what Archie was. It's not like it's raping my childhood or whatever.
Sure.
It's just I just think it's. We'll get into it. I just don't think it's very good at all.
No, that's a fair opinion. But is anyone like a diehard Archie fan? Doesn't like everyone just kind of know what it is? Are there people who are like Archie heads, Rivendellers, Council of Elronders?
I'm sure there are. I mean, I guess this is a good choice for a show like this because it's not like young people would be. But I'm sure like older people, maybe. I don't know. I doubt it. It's just one of those things that's been around for a long time. So people are like, "Oh yeah, that thing."
Yeah,
There's that thing?
Aren't a lot of old comics like that where it's like, "Oh yeah, we can't get rid of it. It just, it just
there's
exists."
Marmaduke. Let's do a gritty version of Marmaduke. Like,
yeah,
what is he up to? He's rabid now, and he has sex with a cat or whatever. Gives a fuck.
It's a crossover with the Garfield show they have on the CW too. Yeah, it's not great. I mean, look, I'm not saying I love this show. Of course, I feel almost like, I mean, okay, so there's bad parts. there's a lot of bad parts. Like,
oh yeah, there's plenty of them. So many too much to keep track of.
the whole opening monologue is kind of rough because they're really like shoveling that this is the grittiest thing and the darkest thing, but isn't that the kind of the point? Or I mean, isn't Archie silly enough that doing this isn't that silly? Or I don't know, Jim.
Well, no, I mean, let's just set it up real quick for people that maybe didn't see it. And like you had said, we're only talking about the first episode. So, I mean, yes, I guess spoilers for the first episode, but it's all pilot stuff. It's kind of was in the trailers. You know, they're in Riverdale and it's modern day and it's Archie and Betty and Veronica, but it's got more of a Twin Peaks vibe with kind of, Gossip Girl and mystery. And, there's some sort of dead body, missing kid at the beginning. And, summer's ending and Veronica just moved to town. And what's Archie going to do? He's also having an affair with one of his teachers. But that's my problem. My problem is, like I said, you take away Archie from this, it's all shit we've seen before. We've seen all this before. There's not like a cool little hook here and there. It's just fucking redundant trash. And that's fine. A lot of people like trashy shows. That's cool. Like you get like, either you hate watch it or you have like, just a fun trashy thing, turn my brain off. I guess there's nothing wrong with that, but I watch trashy shows sometimes, and this is just a bad one because it doesn't do anything different.
What's a better trashy show?
I don't know, something. Well, I got to go back a little bit. Like Nip Tuck's a trashy show. I don't watch every season of American Horror Story, but American Horror Story is kind of a trashy, sexy horror show. Glee, kind of, but not really. Glee's a little bit more wholesome, but it was just kind of like a dumb show to watch.
Sure.
Like those shows, at least I feel were like decent enough to watch. And given this is only a pilot episode, it's kind of unfair, but it doesn't usually at least the pilot will give you something to hook you in, but this didn't hook me in on anything.
Sure.
It's like, let's try to do Twin Peaks and be really shitty about it. And that's me not ever watching Twin Peaks, so
yeah. I mean, this is basically what I assume Twin Peaks is.
Yeah.
So it's like all those people in 1984, like, yeah, this is like what 1984 is, I assume, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Real life now. Yeah, it's terrible, I guess. But for me, it was more like I have so no connection to the original that watching this is kind of like, yeah, I assume this is what all shows like this are that I don't watch, kind of. But speaking of how they made the transition into dark and gritty, I mean, they're going at it. Would you have liked it better, do you think, if they just upped the saturation a bit and just made it Archie for real without doing all sad?
I was thinking about it. If they just did a modern take on Archie, I mean, you didn't even not even having to make it wholesome or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just do whatever they're doing in the current comic book. And just make a teen show and still you can have like the teen things that feel like the end of the world.
Yeah. Like
and
murder.
just have the regular drama.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe this is what fucking what's that other show idiots like?
Pretty Little Liars?
Yes. How did you? That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah, and I never really watched that show either. But I assume so. It's kind of like that. Is that what this is like?
I didn't watch it either, but I knew somehow I knew because I think someone's dead there too. That's what I was gonna say. Actually, shows today are just there's murder, like deal with it.
Yeah.
There was like Veronica Mars, obviously a way better show, but she had her dead best friend and they were trying to figure out that stuff. And Pretty Little Liars, someone's dead. I was thinking that, like, what if there was no one dead? And then I was like, well, it would have just, I probably would have liked it better, but I can still see why they did it.
But I see why they did it as well, but it would be harder to make a good show, to make just like a Dawson's Creek type show.
Yeah.
Which, again, with the fucking, student having an affair with his teacher. I'm sure they did in Pretty Little Liars. I'm sure they did with Gossip Girl as well.
Sure.
It's just like we've seen these things. We get it.
Jim,
it's like
you sound like an old fogey at this point. What's this show? I've seen kids and they're all having sex with their teachers.
Believe me, I'm not proud of this. I don't want to just sit here and shit on this show for a half an hour, but I had to watch it for 45 minutes, so
half an hour. I'm sure we'll do at least 45 minutes of shitting on this show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not proud of it. I don't want to be just that dumb dick that's just online shitting on things, but here I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Take me as I am. I can't help it.
Can't control your fate. Sometimes you just end up in the place you need to be, Jim. I guess we should. I'm with you because maybe specifically there's this scene in the gym hall or whatever where there's a gathering, and I don't know how the fuck they filmed this scene, but it's like there's mist indoors. There's like gray. Everything is like, if I was in that hall, I'd be like, why is the smoke alarm not going off? What is going on? Why is everything so weirdly pulled up to 11 on the desaturation thing? And all of that sadness and all of that. But at the same time, I will say I'm apparently, again, more positive than you on this, just like Emerald City, which I did not continue watching, even though maybe a tiny part of me was like, Jacob, what's the harm in watching episode 3? I didn't. I haven't fallen down that hole yet, but I may watch Riverdale season 2 and episode 2. But what was I going to say? Something?
Well, yeah, I mean, it suffers from a lot of the same problems, in my opinion, anyways, because it's I guess just the idea that it's a gritty Archie is the fun, but there's no fun here. And I'm just repeating shit I said before, but I don't know. There's no fun, and it's the same type of things. It feels like it's all the first ideas you would have that you'd almost say is a joke.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, what if there was a death, or what if Archie's having sex with his teacher? What if there's like mysterious money, and then I don't know, a bully girl? Like, it's just. And Jughead's a blogger or a writer or something. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like if there was something that was like more of a clever. I guess it doesn't even have to be fun. It could be fine as this dark, like brooding, sexy take on Archie. If I felt like there was something clever, if there was a little bit more of a clever twist to it, because this show, much like Emerald City, it feels like a fake show in a movie when they're making fun of this type of thing.
Yeah.
Except it's real. It's a real show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as the season goes on, they could prove me wrong. They could have some clever takes. You just got to stick with it. I'm not like an idiot. I know that sometimes the pilots just getting your mouth watering for some goodness they have later on. I just don't feel like any of that. I'm not seeing any of that on display.
Well, those are all good points. But you say there's nothing under the surface. What about the fact that Veronica is clearly a vampire? She comes in, she's literally wearing a cloak. She's got her hands together like, yes, my liege, ha ha ha. And she's sort of floating around.
Well,
she's all
it's
pale.
funny you say that because one of my notes was that Archie looks like a vampire.
Oh yeah, he looks like a vampire too. I guess this is the CW. Why not?
I don't know. A couple of things I wanted to call out because, like, as we go through the show, some of their, genius takes, like, to make sure that it's like modern day.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, like, you got your cell phones and your tablets, and Betty's mom makes a mention of her taking her Adderall. Oh, take your Adderall, kids. I'm sure that'll pay off later in an episode. Then they do the thing that I fucking hate. They do it at least twice in this episode that I caught, where you do a shit thing and it's shit, but you make a joke about it. So then you're like, well, I'm not shit because I know this is shit. Because they have the gay friend
Oh yeah, I hated that.
He's such a cliche gay friend. Betty's best friend's a gay guy, and he's giving her advice on boys and dresses and shit. Like, it really feels like something that you should be mad about.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry to cut you off, but that didn't make me. It didn't make me mad that he was there. But the line.
Well, no, I'm getting. I'm getting to the line. I'm just setting up the character in case someone didn't see it. But
what? Who didn't see it? Go on.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Everyone watches. But yeah. So it's just such a cliche. You've seen it character, like basically the late '90s gay character that would be, it was because it was like somewhat revolutionary and it was like an edgy thing to do. But now it's just the lazy gay character instead of making him an actual character. But then since they have a line in the episode where he's catty to a girl, and then the mean girl is like, yeah, what are you, gay best friend? Welcome to 1995. So it's like, okay, so that shows me that this is dumb, but yeah, you're gonna do it anyway because you made a joke about it.
But it's based on Archie. I realize they probably didn't have the gay best friend in, issue 1. But it's still like, you gotta take some old stuff and put it in and make it. And there's a lot of, I felt like some of this, like, references and stuff didn't make me retch. You
didn't like the Betty Draper references?
No, that's what I'm saying. I didn't hate them. Did you hate them?
I didn't like the Betty. I don't feel like a current sophomore is well-versed on... I know Mad Men was a big show.
Sure.
But is well-versed on, like, you're totally Betty Draper season 1.
It's a bit late.
You used to be Betty Draper season 5. Ha ha, am I right, ladies?
That's a joke we would make. Not probably teenage girls, I would assume, but maybe we're
there's one other thing where they do much like the line about the gay best friend. And yeah, no, I get it. Like, if it was Archie, although I guess Archie's tackling things like asexual, and I think they had a gay character years ago or something. It was a big deal. So either way, that doesn't mean you have to be lazy and shitty about it. You could have your gay character and do something else with it. But then they do a thing where they're trying out for cheerleaders, Betty and Veronica.
I hated this more than anything in the world.
This sums up the whole show.
Mm.
This is the fucking show in a scene, because they're trying out, and then it's like, the mean girls are unimpressed, and then Veronica's like, just follow my lead. Like, Veronica's basically Marty McFly in Back to the Future. When he looks at the band, he's like, all right, everybody, watch me for the changes and try to keep up. Like, and you're like, oh wow, what is she setting up here? She's got a plan. And then they just kiss. She just kisses her. And in such a, again, like 90s edgy move. And of course, like, no, it's kind of a joke at least, because like, it's not like it changes anything. But then they call it out where they're like, oh yeah, faux lesbians is so 90s. It's like, yeah, no shit. Just because you call it out in your script as stupid doesn't make it like okay that you just had it in there for no reason.
Here's another reason it's terrible. I wrote down before this happened, so Betty/Veronica must have been a thing like since before I was born, like people imagining them together and getting little tingles down in their tummy. That must have existed. And then I wrote like, wait, why did they kiss? Because it's like, yeah, I wanted them to, but like, don't just do it that way. That made no sense. I really thought they were dreaming, also because of the weird way they shot that scene of like, I don't know, the eye directions were weird and they had close-ups, even though it didn't feel like that scene was established enough. I thought it was a dream sequence at one point. But anyway, they did it too soon and they did it for nothing. The scene really lost me overall. I guess it was for the trailer, to have something sexy in the trailer. And I guess it did work in a sense, fanning the flame. I checked the day after and there were like 7 new fan fictions about Betty and Veronica. Let me check how many there are now. I'm on Riverdale.
Of course there are.
So there's 34. This one is straight. This one's gay. 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 They're all gay, and I'm talking about femme slash mostly. Yeah, gay.
Yeah.
There's one where Kevin and Moose get together, which is canon.
That is canon. It happens in the episode.
This one is straight with a sub category of gay. So, I mean, it worked. It was just to titillate, but it was just so stupidly done. They blew their wad way too early on that one.
Yeah, because, you can explore that. You can have some storyline or something with that, or just have it mean something, not just be obvious. And here we are in this age where we're calling things out to, we want better stories, better representation. Why is this all right?
Yeah. And I'll say, Donna Dickens of Uprocks agrees, and I do believe that means that we are on the right side of history.
Nice. Absolutely.
For once. So that was terrible. What else was... I was going to say something I liked, which isn't really a big thing, but I like the band stuff. Like, he's trying to write music and trying to start a band. Now, maybe you hate that, but I'm really, really starved for stories about bands. I don't
mind it.
Yeah.
I don't mind it in particular, but his music was just, like, laughable.
Oh.
Like, it was
Sure, I mean...
and it was more the problem, and maybe this is part of the joke, I'm sure it kind of was, is that his music was like the worst, and everyone was acting like it was so cool, and then like he was so like passionate. Like, we're supposed to be behind him because he really wants to focus on this music, or he's dealing with like, oh man, I'm the best in football, I'm the best at music, I'm the best at fucking my teacher.
It's rough.
My dad even needs me to hold his business up. I'm like the best. How can I handle this all? And I mean, again, maybe that's kind of tongue in cheek and part of the goof. But it was just kind of all right. And I didn't even understand what he was trying to do. It was just so they could have Josie and the Pussycats in a scene.
Yeah.
They should have just had them play at the dance or whatever it was. And it would have been like a fun, like, oh, Josie and the Pussycats are there too. But they just had this scene. What was his plan? He was just going to go in there and be like, I want to write your songs, black girls. Maybe that was their commentary on how a white man trying to co-opt their music.
Sure.
I just didn't get what his idea was.
Well, at the same time, I like that though, because she was my favorite character, because she had a goal and she wasn't murdering or fucking or anything, just the goal. And as I said, I starved for stories about bands. I don't understand why there's so few. There's so much potential in like making a story. It's like assembling a crew for like an Ocean's 11 thing, except it's about a band and a battle of the band and all of that. And maybe I'm just really thirsty for that. I don't know. I was really forgiving on that front.
All right. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't in a lot. That helped.
No, yeah, I like that about her character.
I don't know. I feel bad. I'm just shitting on this thing, and I don't know. I would roll my eyes at me if I was listening to this.
Oh, dear. Well, I don't really blame you. So, what else? I mean, what you were saying about Archie a moment ago, that he is kind of like the best at everything. Now, I did not read Archie, as I said, the comic, but isn't that kind of the thing, that it doesn't make any sense that everyone wants to have sex with him? And
I'm sure it is. But if you're gonna add or change other things, then you can do whatever you want. Apparently, like, you're doing whatever you want. So you don't have to make him. I mean, I don't know. I'm just hoping that he did steroids or something, because they kept talking about how like cut and how great his body looked. Like, the guys and the girl, like every character couldn't help but comment. Like, even his dad, I think, was like, damn, your butt's firm or whatever. So I was just, and there was a point where like, how, man, how'd this happen? And he's like, working construction. I just hope that he's on steroids. Like, you're gonna go there, let's just go there.
Yeah.
You want to fucking dance? Let's just dance already. Let's do this shit.
That's a good call. Don't you feel, Jim, like that was the show commenting? It's turning to the screen and saying, yeah, Archie's hot now. Deal with it.
Yeah, get over it.
Yeah.
You know what? I guess they were, in a way.
It's kind of deep when you think about it. So the music teacher is the worst, though. Like, first off, she's having sex with a student, which is, I mean, I understand, because who wouldn't have sex with Archie in this show?
Did you not see him in the rain with his washboard abs? Of course, when you're driving by a young Archie like that, you're just not looking at the road anymore, and you're just driving, staring at him.
Sure.
So of course, you're going to pick him up and fuck him in your car.
Right, and on the 4th of July especially. The scene there is they heard a gunshot and didn't do anything, which for me, at first I was like, so you couldn't have said you were out there fishing or something? Like, you couldn't have said you were on your own out there? And then I guess it makes a little sense because it was 4th of July, but it doesn't really make sense. I mean, they still don't have alibis. Who are they going to alibi? Each other? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and plus, I mean, this is a small, tiny nitpick. It means nothing, but I can't help it. Because she was like, or he was like, one of them was like, it's fireworks. And they were like at 6 a.m., and you know what? On 4th of July at 6 a.m., yes, people do light off fireworks. That's a thing. So, nice try, Riverdale. You're not getting that past me. And what about Jughead, huh? Jughead's pretty mysterious.
Jughead's the coolest, though, so I feel like we're going to get to see a lot more of him. Now, as I've said about 15 times, I didn't read the original or anything, but I do know that Ryan North is writing the Jughead comic or involved in it in some way. He did a webcomic or does a webcomic called Dinosaur Comics, where it's the same pictures of dinosaurs every day and he just changes the words. And that may sound like a bad idea, but I mean, he came up with that he's been doing that comic since like 2000 or something, or 2002, every day, and it's hilarious, and he's a great writer, so it makes perfect sense for him to take over writing for people who can actually draw. No offense to him, but he's a programmer or something, so that wasn't really his thing. So he started doing Adventure Time comics, and now he's doing the Jughead comic, and that was like a while ago when I was like, Jughead? Why does he wear a crown? Who is this character? And I was like, Archie. Oh, yeah, that's a thing. I didn't even know about this show coming up at that point. But yeah, Jughead's cool, obviously.
Yeah, Jughead. But is Jughead a reliable narrator, I wonder? How does Jughead know what it's going? I'm just nitpicking, but how does Jughead know everything that's happening?
Well,
and clearly there was some falling out between Jughead and Archie, guys.
Don't you look forward to hearing more about that, Jim?
No.
Ouch. Okay.
I this is kind of harsh, but I hope this show gets canceled like now, like right now.
I think it's gonna go for 6 seasons in a movie.
I mean, it might pick up. It might. I know, like when they did a 90210, that's 90210 is a good trashy show. I know when they did like 90210's reboot, that lasted like 4 years, and then they're like, oh my god, what were we doing? They even did a Melrose Place, so maybe they'll do this Riverdale, and then they'll do a Josie and the Pussycat show for a little while, and then they'll do a Jughead.
Right. It'll be like Better Call Saul.
I don't know. I wonder, are the kids loving this, or
that's the thing. I think they are. I have no way of confirming it except looking at the fan fiction, which again, as I said, there's a fair bit of it. I think it's gonna work out because they have all these sexy characters. They're on the right network. They have the right, gray filters on their cameras. And apart from that, what we were saying before is just very standard drama with a murder. I mean, Pretty Little Liars, that's still on, isn't it? It's like 18 seasons or something.
I think they're getting into the last season where they're going to find out who's the liar.
And who is Little. Let's see, Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I feel like I'm a piece of shit because this show's not for me, so of course I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I still feel like it transcends that. It's a little bit above that because there's just a little bit more than just it being like a lame teen show. That's why it's bad. I just don't feel like there's a lot of, thought or anything put into it. And again, I could be wrong. They could be setting up a more elaborate mystery. Maybe if I watched just the first episode of Veronica Mars when it was on, I would think the same thing. And that ended up being a great show. I don't think so, though. I don't. I highly doubt that.
Yeah.
I do think there was a little bit more promise shown in shows like that. But, hey, prove me wrong, Riverdale. There's nothing more I'd like than to be proven wrong by this or Emerald City.
But how would you know, Jim?
Well, I would just, as far as if it becomes the water cooler sensation or something, or you hear about the critics that are like, wow, can you believe the explosive season of Emerald City? I can't even keep a straight face saying it.
Well, one thing I was going to bring up when we were discussing Emerald City, did you ever watch an episode? You're probably going to hate me for this, but did you ever watch an episode of The 100?
I did not. I have heard people say it's good, though.
That's the thing. The 100 seemed like such trash when you watched the trailer for it. And I'll say it wasn't amazing, but they did a pretty solid show for a couple of seasons there, and I watched it all, and then I did have that moment of like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't need to see this anymore. But it was totally way more solid than you'd think after the first episode, and that's also on the CW, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard people say that that's good, so I will give credence to that theory. Actually, another good trashy show that I watched that my girlfriend made me watch was Desperate Housewives. I've seen every episode, and that show, and that's similar. It's murder and darkness in a suburban Mecca or whatever.
How was the pilot?
It's hard to think. I think it showed more promise because it had WizKid, Wonder Kid showrunner. I forget his name.
Well, it also wasn't based on Archie, so that helps.
Yeah, that's true.
And the 100 was kind of like the idea behind it when you thought about it. Well, not when they thought about it. They thought about what they were doing, and that was clear from the get-go that they had like, oh, we're doing, like, you think it's going to be sexy teenagers or something, and it is because it's on that channel. But it was also like, what's that thing? Lord of the Flies, but a bit sci-fi. So it was kind of like these teenagers on their own and a little society and like making rules and stuff, and it all, like, that was a solid enough basis. And then they did that, and once they were done with that, they shifted the genre and did something different in season 2, and it was still solid. So I don't feel like there's a lot of shifting room for Riverdale, you know? There's not that much to explore. Is someone else gonna get murdered?
Yeah, it'll be like, because, I mean, at the very least, they did show the body at the end. He was shot, because I'm sure everyone was just thinking it was just going to be some sort of misdirect and he pops up alive later on or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be something like they catch whoever, they catch Miss Grundy, or no, Miss Grundy was with Archie. They catch like Josie from Josie and the Pussycats, like shot him in the head or whatever.
Right.
But then it turns out like she has a sister, and her sister's the one who did it. And I don't know, who the fuck knows? Gives a shit.
Sounds captivating.
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Well, we'll have to see if it. Well, maybe I will if I keep watching it. But do you have opinions, dear viewer / listener, on Riverdale? Just email us at showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com, or comment on our YouTube, where we now post everything we can, everything we imaginable.
Yes, and I hope, I hope, I swear, if you've only seen our YouTube videos, I swear that I like things. I swear there are shows that I like and I'm passionate about and I'm like excited about. And this is just a thing we've been trying with some of these pilots. I kind of am purposely picking bad ones.
Yeah, what were you expecting, honestly?
I am trying to get Jacob to watch the Taken pilot of the new the new TV show based on the movie Taken, and that's probably not a great idea. But I'm telling you, there are shows I like. I like shows. I swear. We
can already guess that when we're watching Taken, it's gonna be. I'm gonna be here like, it's like a good. They're searching for someone, and it doesn't have to be like the original. They can expand it. There's this whole spy world, and you're gonna be like, oh, such shit. When I was a kid, we had real shows.
Or it might be the other way around. It might be finally the one that like scratches my itch. And I'm like, you know what, dude? It's like 24. It's so cool.
Yeah, so cool. That is possible, because I'm sure I'm counterbalancing you a bit. I don't think this is an amazing show. I just didn't hate it. I didn't have any relation to Archie, so I was like, sure, whatever. I watched a season of Gossip Girl, I think, and then I was like, what the fuck? I don't know, whatever. What am I doing?
Yeah, I think
maybe I'll do the same.
I think the only novelty to this show for me was just seeing the Archie characters. If this was just, welcome to Dark City or whatever, welcome to Mist City. And it was like, here in Mist City, things aren't always as good as they are on the surface. And it's like, that's Adam. He's the coolest guy, and he's with his teacher. Like, if it was just the same exact thing, but it was something else, I would be even more like, fuck this shit.
It's understandable. Okay, so please do send us your feedback. Comment. Visit jimandthem.com for
Yes,
Jim's projects. What you got going on over there, podcast wise?
Podcast commentaries, the huge.
And you're going to want to check out awesomepedia.org. My current editing project, I am taking Harry Potter, the first movie, and I'm cutting out all the magic. I'm making a version of Harry Potter without any magic. Don't ask me why, but that's going to be up soon, so you're going to want to see that. I mean, honestly, it's a genius idea. I don't know if you've thought about it, but
I like it.
It's pretty genius, and some interesting cuts where Vernon's like, there's no such thing as magic, and he shuts him in, and he's right. And then he just, seemingly for no reason, brings him to a weird lake house, and he's really glad that there's no post on Sundays, even though it doesn't make any sense. Lessons are really short. Hogwarts is a pretty nice school if there's no magic. Quidditch doesn't exist, so the movie's pretty short, but
Nice.
yeah, so I've been working on that. Again, don't ask me why, but this is what we do. So check that out, awesomepedia.org, jimandthem.com, and of course, showswhatyouknow.com.
Yes, please subscribe.
Those sweet subscriptions. Nom, nom, nom.
Yum, yum, yum,
Nom,
yum.
nom, nom, nom.
We are Shows What You Know. We'll always watch TV. And if you think we can't, well, watch more and you'll see. That's why the people of the web believe in Jim from Las Vegas and Jacob from Sweden.